All they're doing is trying to misdirect. All they're trying to do is steer the attention someplace else. And I want to show you a couple of things. Come on over with me for a second to let me show you exactly what, by the way, this is Brian Murphy. He's from our brain room. He's a research guy. I mean, he couldn't be anything else. I mean, look at him. He looks too smart. Also, we have Judge Napolitano over here. He's a senior judicial analyst. Okay. Let me show you why they're distracting you, why they're giving you cigarettes, okay? Everybody's screaming about AIG. Everybody is saying, oh my gosh, these 160, how much is it, 165 million in bonuses?
Yes, that's the latest bonus payout.
Okay. Brian's here to tell me what else they have spent. This is, by the way, Barney Frank. Barney, Meet America. America, Barney. Except I have to complete Barney because he's usually a little fatter. Okay, so here's Barney Frank. Okay, now how much, Brian, did he give? How much went to other people? Not the executives. Give me some of the other places here in America.
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. How much did they pay out AIG? How much did AIG give to Goldman?
About $13 billion.
I'm sorry, how much?
$13 billion.
$13 billion. Because you're a research guy, bigger or smaller than $165 million?
That's bigger.
Bigger, that's what I thought. Okay, who else did they give money to?
Merrill Lynch.
Merrill Lynch. Okay.
About $7 billion.
$7 billion. Okay, who else?
Bank of America.
Bank of America.
About $5 billion.
$5 billion. Didn't we bail some of these out on our own? It's almost like America, you know, it's weird. It's almost like this is a money laundering system, you know, where the money just goes in and then they don't have to explain all of these on their own. Who else did they give it to?
Some foreign countries or large banks in other countries.
Foreign country banks. Oh, that's good. Who else? Give me the countries.
United Kingdom.
United Kingdom, our good friends.
$13 billion.
$13 billion.
Germany, about 17.
Wait a minute. This is taxpayer money going to Germany. How much?
$17 billion.
$17 billion. Who else?
About $19 billion for France.
$19 billion. Oh, I love the people in France. Judge, do you love the people in France?
Like the food, Glenn.
Like the food. You don't like the people. That's unfortunate. Who else? Anybody else?
Well, Switzerland, about $5.
Swiss, and I love their Swiss misses. How much?
$5 billion.
$5 billion. Anybody else?
Well, there are a few other small countries.
Why don't you give me the total? How much went to America? How much went to America?
About $44 billion.
$44 billion went to America. Okay, $44 billion. Brian, how much went to overseas?
$62 billion about.
$62 billion. Remember, everybody today is just screaming because $165 million have gone to these executives. You see, why are they doing it? They're doing it because they don't want you to pay attention to all of this. This is small potatoes, to quote Chuck Schumer. Nobody cares about that. It's all of this. They don't want you to see what's inside the fat man that just keeps shooting out free money. Judge,
sir,
can we break the contracts of the $165 million?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because the Constitution prohibits the government, the federal government or the states, from interfering with valid contracts. And these contracts were valid when they were signed.
Hate to break it. Why are we always bogged down by that pesky Constitution thing? If you broke the contract, what would that mean for everybody else's contract? Would contracts in America mean anything if you knew that the government could come in and just cancel them?
The right to engage in a binding contract is the building block, the basic building block of our commercial society. If you or I entered into a contract and we didn't know that the other would comply because the government could interfere with any contract it wanted, we are socialists, pure and simple.
And it's worthless. Contracts are worthless.
The contract
for everybody.
Worthless.
Contracts are worthless.
That's why, in order to prevent socialism, the Constitution prohibits the government from interfering with the contract.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But let's argue some more about it. Instead, let me show you exactly, because Barney Frank was talking today about, oh, this is out of control. This is just out of control. We got to fix this even more. Let's look at the anatomy here, the history of AIG. Okay, Brian, you ready? I'm going to do this part. Let's start in 1993. Here's what happened. In 1993, President Clinton signed a law called the Revenue Reconciliation Act of 1993. Remember, $165 million in bonuses. That's crazy. Who makes that kind of money? What does this mean in 1993? What did that?
It meant if you were going to compensate an employee for over $1 million, if you didn't use a bonus, you wouldn't be able to deduct it from your taxes.
So in other words, the government was encouraging businesses to give people big bonuses.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Did you know that? That's weird. Okay. Then we go to 1995. They issued new regulations related to CRA. And help me out on this one, Brian. The new 1995 regulations, listen to this one, de-emphasize subjective assessment measures in favor of strictly numerical ones.
That basically means quotas.
Oh, quotas. I know that. Then they also instructed bank examiners to take into account how well banks responded to complaints from groups such as minority community activist organizations like ACORN. I know those guys too. They're always so happy. Then in December 1995, Cisneros, who was the head of HUD, moved Fannie and Freddie towards a requirement that 42% of the mortgages would now serve low and moderate income families. So in other words, they would have to have almost half of everything on the books there at 8IG had to be low-income mortgages. Then in 2000, Andrew Cuomo, you know him. He's the guy on TV now saying, we got to get down to the bottom of this. This is an outrage. Remember that guy? He was Cisneros' successor. He established an even more aggressive goal in 2000. He raised that number to 50% and dramatically hiked Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's mandates to buy mortgages in underserved neighborhoods for the very, very low income. He also encouraged them to strongly enter the subprime loan market. Brian, I'm not a scientist like you are, you're one of these brain room guys. A subprime loan market, isn't that the market that we had so much trouble with?
It's the credit default swaps that got AIG in trouble.
That's weird. Their presence in the subprime market could be significant benefit to lower income families, minorities, and families living in underserved areas. Okay. Then in 2000 to 2003, they went from $1.2 billion in subprime mortgages to $15 billion in 2002. And then in 2003, they bought $81 billion in subprime securities. Then they made this flexible product line where you could get a loan for 100% financing. All you needed was $500. Isn't that great, Uncle Sam? Thanks for that. Then they had some scandal. You just put scandal up there. Okay. Bigger than Ken Lay, Then Barney Frank said this on September 10th, 2003. We don't have the sound for Barney Frank? No, this is 2003.
This is a case where Fannie and Freddie are fundamentally sound, but they are not in danger of going under. They're not the best investments these days from the long-term standpoint.
Oh, no, that's the wrong one. This is in 2003. He said, I worry, frankly, that there's tension here. The more people, in my judgment, exaggerate the threat of safety and soundness to Fannie and Freddie. It's kind of like that, except it's a few years earlier when people were saying, gee, don't you think what we're doing here is wrong? No. Mr. Oversight said, please don't be ridiculous or exaggerate. Then he also said in September 25th, he said, I believe there has been more alarm raised about the potential unsafety and unsoundness than in fact exists. Then in 2004, President Bush got involved. He juiced up the subprime market, and he took that goal from 50% to 56%. So you see, they're building a stable company here. Then we had this last statement from last summer of Barney Frank where he's like, don't look over here, there's no problem. Then on September 7th of this year, the United States government took control of this out-of-control company. I mean, look what they've done. The federal government needed to take control of them. Then in December 2008, they paid, this is last December, they paid $55 million to some employees. Nobody really said anything about that one. That's weird. And now as the poll numbers are starting to go and people are starting to get more and more angry about our money, what happens? They pay $165 million to in the bonuses just this last Friday. And then Barney Frank has the gall to say this.
By the way, it does appear to me we're rewarding incompetence. Forget about the legal matter here for a second. These bonuses are going to people who screwed this thing up enormously.
Really? Barney, are you getting a bonus? Because the way it looks like it started here, and ended here. It had nothing to do with the company. It had everything to do with the weasels in Washington.